Hey guys, my name is Amit and today we're going to create these two toggle switches with the help of our very special guest, one of the most creative developers I know, Álvaro Montoro. Welcome to CS Escapism. Let's begin. Hi, Álvaro. Thank you for joining us, for being here. As I said, you're a very creative developer, and you're doing a lot of great things. I'm following you for a very long time on Twitter. But recently, you've done a lot of switches. So, first question is, why switches?
That is a great question, actually. To be honest, a switch is an interesting component because it's one that most design systems have, but most people use it incorrectly, or they tend to. It's a misunderstood component, let's say it that way. Everybody's like, oh, you can use a checkbox. Why use a switch? And they're slightly different, and I think that it's good to promote something and educate people on how things work, and I think that's one of the reasons. Another is Safari is launching a switch component, native switch component, so it was like a little bit of both things.
Okay. But your toggles and your switches are like amazing, like the design and what happens inside of them, like there's all kinds of faces that switches and rotates and all of those things. And what amazed me is that you're doing everything with a single input. You're not using like multiple elements.
That is right. That's part of a challenge. That's a fun thing, let's say, that I like to enjoy. Also, it's to prove that you don't need to have a bloated HTML or a bloated JavaScript file to create a nice looking component. You just need HTML, a standard HTML and CSS, and everything's going to work fine.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, so that is what we're gonna. This is what I sent you. Okay, these two switches. That when you click on one, it goes like this. This is the first one, it's black and white, and the second one is with color. Now, here is why I did it a few weeks ago, and I didn't like it. Maybe I'm going to share the code of this one later on. It's not the best, okay? I wasn't pleased with that, and I wanted to improve it. And I said, oh, you know what? I know who does amazing switches. And then I saw I went to your collection. You have a whole collection of just switches. And I saw just what we talked about, that it's all just one single div. And my question is for you, how would you do such thing with one, with a single div?
So these two in particular are interesting ones. It looks like something that it has multiple elements that are moving from side to side, and I'm guessing it's using a blend mode to blend them.
Amazing, yes. Perfect.
I couldn't tell which blend mode you're using. Probably it's exclusion on the top, so the mismatch. I don't know the one at the bottom. I'm not an expert at that, but I mean, I would try a little bit. So for this, with a single element, I probably would use, the line, the outside line would be the checkbox in itself, and then I would use a pseudo element like before or after to create the circle. And now I would do something that is terrible, and that people that watch the video are going to be like, don't do that. So I'm going to give the disclaimer before. Probably this is not a good idea, but the same way that you can use mix blend mode with different elements, you can use background blend mode for backgrounds. So
amazing. We have the exact same mind. I couldn't agree more with everything he said. Even the part with like experimenting with different blend modes with this. The problem is that, and we're going to write the code in a second, and this is what I want us to do. But the problem is that if we're using one background and we want to move the background position in a different paste, what we actually need to animate is is a custom property. So we're gonna have to use add property unless you have a different solution, because this is where I got stuck.
So I would use add property most likely. The problem of using the add property is that it's not going to work on Firefox, which
For now.
Yeah, good point. For now, so Firefox would have.
If you're watching it in the future, it is in Interrupt 2024. So for now.
Yes, for now. So probably you could do it without an add property by animating the background position. That I believe is animatable.
Yeah, but okay. So you know what? Let's jump into the code and let's try to figure it out together. Okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
So great. Here we're in the code in CodePen. All we have in the HTML is just a simple input, type of checkbox, role of switch, and in the CSS we don't have anything related to the checkbox right now. It's just very basic reset, padding, margin, and box sizing, and just a few things on the body just for coloring and to center everything in the center. Okay? Cool. So this is our checkbox, and so when you start working on actually no, let's give it a class. Let's call it toggle. So when you start working on a new switch, what is the first thing the first classes, the first style that you give them? I'm guessing the appearance none or something.
Correct. That's what I would do. That way it will start looking at the checkbox, and I can manipulate it easier.
Okay. So let's give it appearance none. So now we won't see anything. So let's just give it width, let's say 2 em and height of 1 em. So I'm just giving it a background color so we can see it. And I like using EMs. So now I can just set like the font size to 200 pixels. Now we have something much bigger. Let's make it
for the demo.
60. Yeah, for the demo it's okay. Maybe 40. No, 60. Okay. What's next?
Well, the first thing would be to create the container itself. So it's, let's say, add a border of.
Do you want to jump in? Or
I can jump in. Yes. So I would add a border. Let me change the color a little bit. Let me make it semi-transparent so I can see the border. I'm going to make the border white. That's why I'm saying.
Well, I actually thought about removing the background color altogether.
So let's put it white for now. And one thing that I like to do is that the same way that we're using EM for the width and the height, I like using EMs also for the border. But then we run the risk of when it's too small, then it may be too little and it's not displayed. So sometimes what I do is that I do a max of 1px and 0.1 em. Let's say how that looks. That may be too thick, but like that. And that way, when the checkbox, the toggle switch is going to be scalable. Let's say that way. It's always going to look the same, or mostly.
Amazing. Okay, let's also give it a border radius.
That sounds perfect.
It's your marker.
Oh, sorry.
Border radius, let's give it a 1 em for now. And okay, so this is the outside. By the way, are you using border? Or I was thinking about, am I using border or am I using outline?
I prefer to use border because that way, if the element is focused, we don't have a problem. Like for example, if you tap into, and because it's recording your screen, if you click on
you can style your own focus state.
Yes, but why? I mean, yes, you can do that, and that's perfect. But I normally prefer to keep it. Let the browser do the job for you. Don't take jobs away from the browser. So, for example, if we create our own focus style for this component, then it may be different from all the other components. But if we design a focus style for the design system, and then we just use the default focus style, then all of them are going to have the same, and we don't need to code it in each component. We just code it at the top level and we're done. So that's why I like to just use the one that the browser does, that it may be custom, it may be what we do, but that way, that's the reason why I use border instead of outline.
Okay, great answer, thanks.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's talk about now the circle. Actually, let's make it like 3M because I want a wider movement. Okay, so now let's talk about the circle inside of it. And so I'm going to tell you what I thought of doing. Okay, and then we're going to talk about the problem and how we can solve it. Okay, so what we can do is actually just add a background, and I'm not adding a background image, and you're going to see why in a second. Let's do a simple radial gradient. Let's do again white. 50%, we're going to change this number, and then a transparent, like a hard stop to transparent.
Okay.
So this is what we have right now. Okay. I'm using background because now we can use position here, but we're going to get to it in a second. I'm going to use background size. Let's say for now it's 1 EM, so 1 EM and 1 EM. So now we get something like that. That's great. Now let's do a background repeat. Obviously, I want no repeat. And as far as background position, so background position. Okay, so now
something's going on.
Now we don't. Yeah, we can set the position actually right here, and let's say so 50% is gonna be right in the middle. It's supposed to be in the middle.
Yeah.
So 0% on the X is gonna be in the beginning, and 100% it's gonna be in the end.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now we can, instead of setting it here, we can set it as background position. And now we can say that if this is checked, okay, so let's do like toggle position 100%. So now this can be var of toggle position or 0, okay?
Okay.
So now it works. We have a very basic switch, right? And you're right. And that was what your first thought and my first thought, that I can actually set the transition on the background position. Let's say 1 second. Yeah, so now it works, right?
Yeah.
But I actually want to have multiple radials. And I want each of them to have the position to start at a different time.
Yes.
So the transition needs to be different. So what needs to be animated is not the background position, is actually the toggle position, the variable itself. And we actually need a different variable for each circle. And again, if you have a better idea, so I'm listening in.
No, that's probably what I would do, because we could do it with animation, but it would be too complicated. Yeah, so it would be basically having multiple backgrounds with multiple positions, each of them with their variable. Yes.
Yeah. So so let's do it. Let's start with 2, so we can understand what's going on, and then we're gonna build more. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so as I said, we're gonna have multiple radials. So this is 1 and this is 2, and the background position. So this is gonna be position 1, and this is gonna be position 2.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is 1, and this is 2. So, and we don't need the. Okay, so we're gonna comment this out for now. This is off. Yeah, okay, so now it works, and we actually have 2 circles, right?
Yes.
One on top of the other. And what we need to do is have a transition, but instead of the background position, the transition needs to be on the toggle position 1 and the toggle position 2. But right now, it's not going to work, and this is the way it's going to look on Firefox. What we need to do is to set an add property for this custom property, right?
Yes. We would do it.
So do you want to do it? Let's go to the top and.
Yeah, let me go to the top. To the top, or okay.
Somewhere, I think. Yeah, here. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So what we will do is the add property allows us to define.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say the add property. What we're doing is just we're saying that the browser. We're going to tell the browser what is the syntax of this custom property, and once the browser knows the syntax of the property, it can animate.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's say property toggle pose 1.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so let me go there, and I'm going to add it. So then what we would do is that we would add the syntax, as you mentioned, that there must be a reason why it goes between the angle brackets. I don't know about it. But so in this case, it's a percentage, if I'm correct. Yeah. So we would put here percentage. It could be color, it could be length. Then the initial value, we said it's going to be 0%.
Yep.
And then we want it
to set inherits.
So yeah, this is basically we want it to be available for this sentence or for the pseudo elements. So in this case, because we're doing everything directly on the toggle, I'm going to put false. If we were using the circles in the pseudo element before or after, then we would need to put true.
Amazing. So now we can just copy this one to pose 2. Okay, and now okay, it animates, but it still animates at the same time. What we can do is come over here to the transition, and we can add a delay to each one of them. Actually, let's add a delay just to the second one. What can be a delay? Like let's say 0.1 second for now. Okay. So now you can see that there's 2 different circles.
Perfect.
Okay. So and the same concept we're going to be on 3, 4, 5, and how much circles do you want us to make? In my example, in this example, because I made it in a completely different way, I made 15. But we can make more or less if you want to.
I mean, we can do, if you want to do half of that, maybe 7 or 9, so we don't have so many properties.
So let's do 9. So I'm going to do it because this is just a copy-paste work. But while I'm doing this, I want you to tell me about comics.
Oh.
You're doing comics with CSS.
Yes.
About CSS.
Yes, with CSS, about CSS. So this was an interesting idea that I thought, hey, I do CSS art on the side. Wouldn't it be nice if I create a comic with it or cartoons that are about CSS, so I can teach people how CSS works and I can practice at the same time. So that's how I studied comic CSS or comic CSS. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, and I'm the author. And comics. And I studied 2 years ago. Actually, it's amazing that I've been publishing weekly CSS comics for 2 years.
Wow.
But
every week?
Sorry?
Every week?
Yeah, normally every week I publish a comic, or sometimes I do twice a week, but normally it's once a week. And so far I think that we're close to 130 comics or cartoons. So it's a fun project. I enjoyed it. It helped me practice different things. Sometimes, I talk about text balance, and then text wrap balance, and then what I do is that I code the comic using text wrap balance. So not only I'm talking about the property itself, but I'm practicing and I'm learning as I go, which I think it's a really nice thing. Oh wow, you type fast.
Yeah, I'm used to it. I do have a question. You said the word "we." Is there other contributors to comics, or it's just you?
So far, it's just me. I mean, sometimes people suggest topics, and I do the comic based on that. But so far, I'm the only one that has been publishing comics.
Great. Keep doing it. I love seeing that.
Thank you.
Back to our code. So what I did is just copy paste what we've done for the two elements, just for 9 more. And now when we click on it, you can actually see there's 9 balls. And the last ingredient that we want to add is what you said.
Background blend mode.
Background blend mode. I am using exclude. You can also use difference if you wish. So once I hit difference, you can see when I click, you can already see the effect.
Oh, perfect.
Or you can also use exclusion. In this case, you will get, because it's just black and white, you will get pretty much the same result. But it has to be an uneven number of circles.
Yes.
Like 15, 7, 9, and you already had like the instinct of saying uneven numbers, but because if you said 10, I would have done 10, but we won't see anything because it's each couple just canceling, each one canceling the one before. So it has to be an uneven number of circles. But this is already looks, I think, pretty much amazing. And you can, by the way, if you want, let's do inspect and try different types of blend modes. But in this case, because it's just black and white, so I think that difference or exclusion in this case works the best.
It looks amazing. I'm going to copy it for my collection.
Amazing. Okay, so let's add one more to the collection. Let's add one more input right here. And we're going to give it another class. Let's give it a color. Okay, first of all, let's add here in the body, I'm going to add a gap.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I just added another input, another checkbox. It works the same as the first one, but I added another class of color. So let's go and add a class of color. Oops. Class of color. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy the entire background of the even the background blend mode of the first one.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, I'm going to copy it into the color. And what I'm going to do is right here, instead of the white, let's comment this one out. Instead of the white, I'm gonna do, and again, this is just HSL. Oh, and by the way, you could, and I would have done all of those things with a loop, obviously, if you're using SAS. But here I'm hard coding everything. So we're gonna do an HSL instead of white. We're gonna give it a hue of 0 for now. Let's say 100% and 50%. So now we have the same thing but with red, because the HSL of this is red. But what we can do is we can color each one of those differently, and because we have 9 elements, so 360 divided by 9 is 40. So let's just say this is 40, this is 80, 120, 160, 200, 240, 280, and 320. So the next one is going to be 360, so it's a full circle. And we can see that if we're going to click on it, we can already see all of those different colors, okay?
Yeah.
And right now, we have the blend mode of exclusion right here. If I'm going to say blend mode of none,
it will be the last. Oh, the top color that should be.
Yeah, but why?
Why is it not doing it?
Don't they get it?
That's interesting. Is the other?
Background blend.
Oh, because none may not be a value.
Oh, okay. So let's. Okay, apparently none is not a value. So let's do an unset, which is probably better, and I should have thought about it in the beginning. So now we can actually see all the colors. But what we can do, and actually let's go back to the dev tools. Instead of unset, we can set this color. We can either set the color dodge. Color dodge can be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, but what we can do, we can use either lighten. Okay, so when I use lighten, so all the colors are blend together. So when it's in one side, it's just white. But when I click on it, we can see all the colors, and then it's back into white. But what I originally used is actually screen. And screen would give you the same effect when it's standing, when it's stationary, but when it moves, it actually looks, I think, a bit better. And one more thing that we can add, actually, let's go back here to the HSL.
Okay, let's see.
And in each one of those HSL, I'm gonna add an opacity. So let's say like 0.25, and oops, down 0. Let's say 0.4. Oops.
Okay.
But why doesn't it? Oh, because this is unset.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now it's white, but when you move it, you can see the opacity, and I think it looks much better.
Oh, that's really
and you can play around with the opacity to get like the specific hue you want. Let's say like maybe 6. Yeah, maybe that's better. Any other ideas?
No, I mean that looks amazing, to be honest.
So this is what I've done. Okay, so you have the input, but the input is encased in a label with a span and a lot of eyes. So each one of those balls is an eye, and so the downside is that you have a lot of elements and it's probably heavier. But the upside is, and by the way, yeah, I've done everything with loops. But the upside is that I'm animating the transform, the translate. So I think in terms of performance, there's ups and downs. In terms of using elements versus background color, background image. The other thing is that if you're using mixed blend mode instead of background blend mode, so you can also use, there is something different. Where is it?
All the tools.
Yeah, so there is something that is called plus slider, and I think it gives much better results.
Oh.
But the plus slider is not supported in background blend.
Yeah, there's another big advantage is that the colors and the edges of the circles are going to look a lot nicer when you use multiple elements, because the background, when you have a hard stop, your screen, you may not see it in your screen because it's a good screen, but not everybody has a good screen. And
no, you're absolutely right, and you can avoid it by not using hard stop. So by changing this transparent instead of 0, so let's do it like 61 or even 62%. No, 61%. And it will look much smoother. You're absolutely right. But if I'm going to move it back to 0 for now, because normally the switches won't be at that size. So normally the size is going to be something like whoops, where it is.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So but again, it's you're right. You cannot do hard stops if the borders are bothering you.
This design is amazing, I have to say. I'm going to copy it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I was the other day I was waiting at my kids thing, and I was like drawing on a paper different things and designs, but I don't know. Many times what I do is that I search online for a toggle, and if I see something that I like, I build it. I try to mimic it. Like for example, Josechu, he has. If you don't follow him on CodePen, please do. He creates really interesting designs, and he has a collection of toggle buttons using multiple elements, and they are really, really creative. Like one looks like teeth that move side to side. That one is interesting. I find it a bit creepy, but at the same time, it reminds me of the A Team. I'm thinking about doing this one, trying to do this one with just one element, but I don't know exactly still how to do it. I know how to do it with the teeth, but if I want to have the off and on button outside, that starts complicating things. But I like how detailed they are. Like not only they move and they're really smooth, but if you click on them, you can see how the shades and the lights change. Like the button, there it's red, the light is red at the bottom. Not the one that's soft, but the thing that moves from side to side. And he has one that looks fairly simple. That looks really nice too. But yeah, I need to check. I like how he did even the rounded edges. It's something that I struggled to create rounded edges. For that, I always recommend SVG, I have to say.
Yeah. So, great inspiration. I actually love his work. I know his work. He's also doing a lot of weird 3D stuff, so I know his work. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about, promote? If people want to get to you, where can they find you?
The things I create, I normally share on Twitter or Mastodon. My account on both is Álvaro Montoro, so it's easy to find.
I'm going to share the links in the description.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So really thanks again for being here, for spending time with me, for teaching me a few new things.
I learned more from you.
And yeah, thank you. And I hope we can do it again one day.
Me too.
Thank you.